Well,
Wow.
hello out there, planet Earth, and happy Friday. We have 3 weeks left until the kids get home. I saw them this past weekend. They're okay. They're making it just fine. It's Friday, and it's always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. ICYMI, or in case you missed it, SMB stands for Small and Medium Sized Business. For the last 20 years, I've been a consultant for SMBs, a voice and a sounding board for business leaders, advocating on their behalf, their employees too. I believe very strongly, everybody, in sharing stories, providing perspective, and creating connection. So every single Friday, you could find me here on talkradio.nyc doing just that, lending what's left of my mind and my voice, especially after this week, to this radio show where I interview business leaders as well as their advisors they work with. One thing that I've noticed over the years, everybody, some of the best thought leadership that we encounter, it actually happens on Friday, just about the time we feel that freedom of the weekend coming. However, we're also anxious to start the weekend, myself included. It's martini night. We forget all of this clarity that we have. We shove everything aside. We sweep it under the rug. It gets forgotten in favor of our fun weekend activities and our freedom from our work. Here on the show, we take advantage of that weekend freedom and clarity, and we discuss popular topics that are on the minds of SMB leaders as well as their trusted advisors. One more time, the name of the show is not just a play on words. There is some method behind the madness here. My last name actually means free in German. So just a little food for thought for you guys. We saw the kids once again, minimal tears shed on the way out. Sleepaway camp's going well. I think my younger one is doing just fine since I got a picture of her on a zip line this morning. It's like 35 feet in the air. My younger one's maybe like 3.5 feet tall. It's a beautiful thing to see, being kids. I also survived a crazy flash flood on the way back. Crazy thing to see going over the Raritan River in New Jersey. There were definitely some cars that got abandoned and washed away. It's like that stuff happens in an instant. Never really been exposed to that in that type of manner before, but what are you going to do? Still seeing some great music while the kids are away. A lot of good bands coming through this area. Saw Dave Matthews Band this past week at PNC Bank Arts Center right near the house. 30 years later, still sounding great and driving the crowd wild. It made me start thinking, when I started listening to DMB, there wasn't much focus on things like digital marketing and social media presence, talking the early 90s. Obviously, we're living in a little bit of a different world these days, so I figured it would be a good time to chat a little bit about driving organic growth. So it's hard for us at SMB these days to not get approached by some type of marketing type of consultant or anything like that to engage in some type of services to help them build a presence online. What a lot of times the SMBs don't realize is that there's a lot of costs involved to doing a full-blown marketing campaign online, where a lot of the magic, especially when you're trying to build up your brand and your presence as a small, medium-sized business, can actually come from organic growth and just having a little bit of a plan, a little bit of a method behind the madness to get your message and your brand out there. That's the reason that special guests like my very special one we're going to be chatting with today, that's the reason that they do what they do. The full-blown digital marketing agency that can do damn near anything out there, to be an advocate for these folks and be able to tell their message. Again, sometimes when you're really close to your message, it becomes harder to translate it to other people. Organic growth is where it's at. Talk is cheap. We're on talkradio.nyc. We don't want this to just be talk. The goal here is let's use the insight that we get on the SMB landscape and create some more impact on Monday. That's what we're all about. It's far too often the businesses I've spoken to out there, especially nowadays, they're focused on some type of product, some type of widget, some type of new app that's going to change everything for them. It's going to solve all of their problems. One consistent thing I see out there, and I know my special guest has seen it too, products change every single day in everything that we do, whether you're talking about your personal life or your business life. You got to surround yourself with the right people first and focus on some type of process that's going to help you get where you want to go. If you do it that way, the right products will be there when you need them. Your strategic partners will recognize opportunities. Everything begins and ends with the people. So, the spirit of surrounding yourself with the right people, you know how I like to do it. We have a great show for you here today. Our special guest is none other than John Rod, owner, founder of John Rod and Company. So this is an award-winning digital marketing agency recognized for creativity in the digital marketing space, advertising campaigns, branding, website development, and other professional marketing services. Among the company's many strengths, it lies in its ability to create brands and campaigns that expand beyond the digital and cross over to the physical world. Yes, there is still a physical world out there, all of you meta freaks. If your business is looking for a digital marketing company that you can partner with, look no further. From website design to robust Google AdWords campaigns, the agency has the skills and creativity to bring your business up to the next level and beyond. Next level and beyond. John, that sounds really serious.
I think I wrote that.
So he knows how to write content, people. We know that. Very, very family focused, family owned businesses as clients. This is a family owned business. John and his son, John Rod and John Rod and Company. The roots come from being part of a close knit family owned business. The next generation, John Rod Jr., he's working very closely with dad, continues to add the expertise, knowledge, and skills as a production manager, website developer, and SEO expert. You want to surround yourself with the right people? You got it right here, guys. This is it. So he is the man, the myth, the legend, John Rod. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about my favorite questions revolving around movies, TV, and music. But before we get there, the owner, the founder, the man, the myth, the legend, John Rod from John Rod and Company. Welcome to Always Friday, brother. Great to finally have you here.
Thank you, Steve. That was a heck of an introduction. I appreciate it. That's great words. And I'm glad your kids are having fun. And I know that there's a countdown involved, but you better enjoy every second of that.
I woke up out of a reverie the other day and was like, oh my God, everything that I plan to get done needs to get done in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done.
So, John, part of that list of stuff is, me doing this show for the last 3 years, me doing the work that I've done for the last 20 years. I could tell a good story, but I very often stink as my own digital marketing consultant and my own partner, to get my presence out there. I know that's what you do. We want to hear from you a little bit about your journey. Tell us a little bit about how you got where you are today.
Wow. That's a great question. Thanks, Steve. I started my journey back in the 80s. I actually worked for my father and another family business. It was me and my dad and my mom answered the phones, and my brother Frank worked there. And that was my initiation into marketing. We did all kinds of great work, brochures and logo designs. And that's where I learned about signage design and fonts and displays and graphics and trade shows. And before the end of the 80s, I was starting to handle clients myself, and I became really good at handling the clients. Most of the clients were home builders, and I was handling accounts like Hovnanian and Toll Brothers and some of the larger home builders in the area. And in 1990, my father passed away, and my brother and I started our own company, which as an SMB guy, you can understand the, the need for life insurance and buy-sell agreements. And it was a quick education for me on what can happen in life. So
Sure.
my brother and I started our company, and it was just him and myself and a phone, and we kicked butt. The 1990s were unbelievable for us. We had such huge growth. He was in charge of running the operations. I was in charge of running the business. My other brother Dave came into the mix. And again, what a great opportunity to really grind your teeth. And because I was focused on sales, I suddenly became focused with search and Google. So as the early 2000s hit and we had to create our own website, I had to go through the process myself. And because I was in charge of sales, I figured, well, let me go through the process and maybe I can learn as much as I can about this process. In 2008, when the real estate market kind of took a dump, my brothers and I decided we were going to be brothers, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my next career path. And as it turns out, in 2010, my son was getting out of college. He went to Duquesne University for digital media, and he went to DeVry, knew how to build computers and do all this stuff. And I said to myself, well, let's go full digital. And we started building websites, and we started doing search engine optimization, and we started growing our company with some local businesses. And one of the things that happened to us by accident was discovering HubSpot. And that's what drives organic growth for us. HubSpot was one of those things where every time I had a question, a HubSpot blog story was giving me the answer. And I said to myself, wow, they're really great at blogging and giving me the information I need to help me get my client to number one organically. So then we started using it for ourselves. And all of a sudden, because we're a digital marketing agency and we understand search engines, now we could be found under those same search engines. So my phone is ringing off the hook, and my email form fills are constantly being filled out by people who have little questions about their Google My Business being canceled by Google, and they need help, to large corporations who need full-blown websites and digital media campaigns. So and we've had huge growth over the past years, especially since COVID. COVID was another surprise. We didn't know what was going to happen, and everything went into Zoom.
Yep.
I joined some other networking groups, and again, business took another jump. Now, what's great about, you talked about family businesses. Now, the clients want to talk to my son. They want him in on the meetings. He's now become the talent. He's now the search engine optimization expert. He's now one of our developers. So he understands the ins and outs from a technical standpoint and from a marketing standpoint. What's going to get them there from Google, and then what's going to keep them there from a consumer standpoint, which is, I guess, the differentiator of our agency versus all the other agencies. It's attacking it from the Google algorithm side to making sure you can be found in search. And then number two, when you're found and clicked on, what is your target audience going to see? What do they want to see? What's going to keep them engaged? What's going to be the connector between the salesperson and that works for that company and the person, visiting the website? So we've come a long way, and I'm super excited. Having owned my own business since 1990, I really haven't had a job for 32 years. So it's kind of fun for me.
And I know you love what you do. I know you have a great process behind it, which we're going to talk about in just a moment during the method part of the show here. But I think you're one of, the folks out there who, real genuine person, really gets to know the people and make the relationships and knows the client and understands that, what a Google or Facebook algorithm might be focused on one day might be changed the next day. And you have to be able to navigate that with the clients. Like some of the pieces of content that get produced, might not be sticky one day. They might be sticky the next day. Who the hell knows? But
and it's unique in our industry, but we have a lot of the successful digital marketing agencies around the area I am connected with, so that we can see in real time, hey, are you being affected? Are you being affected by Google's new push on medical or on insurance companies? Because as the algorithms change, they don't notify us. We have to do tests and find out by accident.
I personally love the concept of cooperation, and you, as one of my local heroes, John Rod, I'm glad that you're a proponent of it. So we're gonna talk more about your method behind your madness when we come back from this commercial break. Again, it's always Friday, and we are talking with John Rod, owner, founder of John Rod and Company, a full-service marketing agency, digital marketing agency located right here in Freehold, New Jersey. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It's always Friday. And it's me, the one, the only, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with John Rod, owner, founder of John Rod and Company, a full-service digital marketing agency located in Freehold, New Jersey. Great stuff from John so far. I know we're going to have a great time here today. John, as John would say, wow.
Wow.
Before we get into the method behind your madness, John Rod, I just wanted to sit out by my fire pit, if you'll indulge me for a second. It's been kind of rainy the last few days. Haven't really been able to sit out and tell any stories. But when I went to Dave Matthews this week and I took this picture that I flashed up before, there was a little bit of a reason behind it, right? Everybody takes a selfie once in a while, but I had a little bit of my own method behind the madness and the thinking here. A band like Dave Matthews, I started listening to about 30 years ago. So big band, very popular. They have all kinds of initiatives behind spreading their message and their brand and their everything. They have budget, so big operation. However, one thing I noticed recently, just being a fan through social media and all that, is after every show on tour, Dave Matthews takes a selfie of himself right in front of the audience. And not only is it fun and cool and gets all kinds of likes and hearts and love and all of that, it's a perfect example of how a simple process that he goes through creates a whole bunch more attachment and organic growth, organic following of his music and of the band. And guess what? How much it costs? $0. Obviously, he's got people working on it for him. And John Rod, he hasn't enlisted you yet, but Dave Matthews and I go back 30 years. I'll tell him to give you a call. But yeah, this is the type of stuff where I look at it and go, this is kind of easy, quick brilliance. Like where you take a snapshot like that, people start latching onto it, more and more people see it out there, and you've created some attachment, and it really hasn't cost you anything. So, John, this is the method part of the show, the science behind what you do. The whole idea here is, what do you do, how do you do it, and how do you go to market for it, which always for a marketing agency is a fun discussion, but lay it on us. Give us a little bit of the method behind your madness.
Well, I can tell you right now that Dave Matthews is brilliant, and we're big data analytic people. And whenever we do any kind of posting and we're looking at the analytics and comparing it, whenever there's a person or people or a team in the shot, it's going to get twice as much engagement as just a photo or some other piece of content. If it's your actual people and not a stock image, you're just going to get more traction with it. So he's probably learned that over his course in time. So he's brilliant.
And I would say also that just, people always, everything starts with the people. You know how I feel about that. But the passion part, the passion comes across. I think of you as well. like a picture like this on social media, you love to fish. I like almost
Yes.
everybody who meets you knows about it, right?
Yes.
I worked for a company years ago where one of my colleagues had a picture of his 66 Mustang on his LinkedIn profile, and the head of marketing for the company said, you have to take that down because it's not on brand with us. You know how much attachment and questions and fun and outreach he got from the pictures of the 66 Mustang?
Well, I can understand the approval process behind social posting. You should get higher authority to make sure it is on brand. You can't have everyone going rogue because you could have situations that arise. So we make sure we go through that. But the method to our madness, Steve, is quite simple. Just picture it as a car pulling in for the first time, and now you're going to try to diagnose what's wrong with it. And, as developers and as SEO and as marketeers, we are looking at it from a big picture down, a 30,000 foot view. The first thing we look at anybody's website is not even the website. We go right to their Google My Business page. Do they have one? Are there holes in it? Is the correct information in it? Is there a dot locator marked within the Google My Business? So we start by looking at the business itself, and we find all kinds of issues and problems just in that arena. Then we'll go to the website itself. We are purveyors of WordPress websites because everyone knows how to work a WordPress website. When you're going with somebody who's doing special coding, you're kind of locked into them, where if you're working with a WordPress website, everyone can work within the confines of it. So that's one of the parameters that we are committed to. So we would move your platform onto a WordPress website if it's not, and if it is a WordPress and we could fix it, then we would absolutely go in there and make it the 2023 version of whatever version you have. All the bells and whistles. We need to look at every single service you have and every single unique page you have and see what's working and what's not.
I'm astounded still nowadays, John, at some of the websites I come across. And it's almost like the more the company's been around and the more they have an established 40, 50-year relationship, they might still have a website that was programmed in HTML 25 years ago.
We're working on one now. We're working on a company that's in New York City that is a 100-year-old company, and they have a 2012 HTML static website, and we're rebuilding it. And it's a unique story as to how they found us. They were Googling the services, other companies that do what they do, and our website came up first. And then they went to the bottom of the website, and they saw our name, clicked on it, and that's how they came in. So beautiful. That's the best kind of word of mouth we could ever get, is somebody finding us through one of our websites. And it happens.
So I know that you spent you mentioned it like in the introduction about that you spent a lot of time in the real estate space with developers and folks like that, which shout out to my buddy Mike Lazeski from Uncle Mike's Home Service, who was on the show a little while back. He's somebody who you might actually want to meet, John. He's very much involved in the worlds that you're involved in. Great guy, but some of his promotional items I thought went well with the rest of my blue today. But getting back to the method behind the madness, you have this little infographic process oriented on the website, which I love stuff like this that kind of simplifies it down to like kind of a picture that most everybody can understand. Run through this with us real quick.
Sure. We break down all marketing campaigns into two phases. The first phase is just to make sure you have a website that is complete and functioning, that your branding is solid, and that you're telling a story, and that the navigation is clean and all the services are taken care of. And there's SEO involved. So the content, the messaging, and the SEO all have to be built in. Once the website is done and launched, that's where the fun begins. And that's where people don't understand. They just create a website and they think that that's all they need to do. Think of Google as a Pac-Man that wants to eat information. blogging and SEO is something that we do for our clients month over month over month to get out new information, new content, new keywords. Social media engagement pushes the traffic from social media back to the website, which equals higher rankings, and also digital ads and campaigns. All of our clients are different, but from Instagram to LinkedIn to Google AdWords, we're doing campaigns on virtually every platform that's out there, because if that's where the audience is, then that's where the marketing company has to go and get more of that audience. It's
got to go where the people are.
Marketing is more like a dartboard, and now we're throwing it into the center of the dart.
If I may for a moment, a mutual friend of ours from our networking community, Michael Leibowitz, was on the show a year and a half ago, maybe longer. I can't remember. Time's flying by. So he said, I want to see if you agree with this, because I love kind of phrasing it this way. Marketing is asking somebody out on a date, and branding's the reason they say yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Michael is brilliant, and his expertise lies in breaking down what you do in one sentence.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we do. We try to get the main focus of what you're doing down and pare it down so it's an easy, understandable, quick hit.
So, going from phase 1 to phase 2, the phase 2 side of things, doing blogging, doing more social media engagement. You can do a lot of that the organic way. Then you get down to the idea of the digital advertising and the campaign stuff that might be pay per click, or stuff that might be set a budget for however length of time and, get this many hits. And I know that you have, gone fairly deep into this web of madness with things like geofencing, identifying a particular location. And some of this kind of borders on the line of the madness that we're going to get into after the next commercial break. But
yes,
where is, when you're dealing, especially with the small, medium-sized businesses out there, it always seems to me like building up the organic piece is the important first part, because that kind of ties directly into the branding and the kind of the core messaging. Where do you see like the kind of tipping point where it's like, oh, you know what? Now we're at the point where we need to set a budget and start firing it out there with a targeted approach? Or is it just kind of different for everybody?
It's really different for everybody. All clients have an opportunity to do stuff that is free, and all clients have the opportunity to do stuff that is pay. So if they have the ability and they have the know-how and they have the want, there's so many tools out there that are available for people to capture audience and bring them to their website. Our basic focus is on phase 2. It's getting traffic for clients that get them web hits and get them phone calls and get them sales leads and get them more sales. Like I said, we're big data analytic people. So month over month, we're looking at the numbers and seeing what's working and doing more of that, seeing what's not working and doing less of that.
Yep. No, and I appreciate that, because so many of these folks that work in the digital marketing space are appealing to the SMBs I see out there saying, we specialize in lead generation, which every business wants that and needs that. Very often, though, I see businesses that have plenty of leads. They just don't have an engagement strategy. And the engagement piece is huge.
I see people that we get leads for, and they don't have the ability to follow up on the leads.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many times we've had clients where we do a pay-per-click campaign. They've gotten 54 leads and there's nobody on the other end calling people back a second or third time. They'll get a voicemail and that they won't follow it up with either another voicemail or another call or an email. And then you're paying all that money and you're not taking advantage of it. You really need people dedicated to the follow-up.
I really can't think of a better way to segue into the madness part of the show. So thank you for teeing that up absolutely perfectly, John Rod. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with John Rod, owner, founder of John Rod and Company, a full-service digital marketing agency in Freehold, New Jersey. Stay with us, people.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. Not just me, some of my local heroes joining me here. John Rod from John Rod and Company, a full-service digital marketing agency located here in Freehold, New Jersey, right next door to Manalapan, where I call home. So great to have you here once again, John. Love what you're doing. Love how you're doing it. Love how you're telling the message to the audience. This is the madness part of the show. As you were starting to tee up perfectly before, there's folks out there paying for lead generation strategies, getting leads for their small, medium-sized businesses, and straight up not being able to convert them. They don't have someone on the other line answering the calls, returning the calls, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little crazy, and it's crazy. It's not the only time I see it. I see this kind of stuff all the time, and I'm sure you do too.
Not only do I see that, I see very weird, nefarious things going on with clients that are leaving the agency that they're with. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten a call from somebody and they want to change to us, and they suddenly realize that the agency they're leaving owns their domain, owns their website, owns their content, and they're trying to leave and they realize they don't own any of it. And that's just not the way to do business. And people appreciate the way we do business.
I certainly do as well. So there's a couple of pieces of madness that I definitely would like to delve into. And I know you've had kind of frontline experience with them, but I'm going to get selfish here for a moment just because I'm dealing with some of my own madness. There's a bunch of home improvements that I want to do this summer, and especially before the kids get back. But you have a whole bunch of projects listed on your website, and it looks really cool, by the way. It's you've done some work for real estate folks, architects, builders, etc. along the way. Financial services firms. It's almost like even some of the real estate stuff looks like it would on their website, is like giving a tour of a property. But it's very cool to see the depths of some of these projects that you're working on. The one that grabbed me because it's hitting home for me is the work that you do with ATOP Construction, local roofer here in Manalapan, New Jersey. I know that you went to high school with the owner. I believe you did anyway.
Yes.
This is something. My house is 25 years old. The roof is original. We're going through the motions now to do it. So, I've lived in the area on and off for 40 years. I know lots of folks who do roofing. I've obviously seen the name of this company on billboards and advertisements and things like that. I think I've passed by their headquarters a few dozen times as well. But in the digital world, somebody like me, right, who might, or take my wife as an example, who's Googling building materials and different roofing contractors and whatnot, give us a quick walkthrough on some of the ways that somebody out there in the ether in this area in Monmouth County, New Jersey, would be directed to the ATOP website who's looking for a new roof.
Well, the first thing that we do is we spend a lot of time on the search engine optimization of each of the individual pages. So although they own a roofing company, they still have other services that we want them to rank for.
Yes.
When we created the website for them, I'm also a local hero. I went to Manalapan High School. I was raised in Manalapan. So, having known the owner, I actually had ATOP do my roof.
All right.
He came in and said, well, what do you do? And I said, we do marketing. He's like, I need a new website. So it was a perfect kind of segue into it. But some of the things that we do for him, if you Google roofing companies in Manalapan, you will see that they come up first in the 3-pack, first in the map, and also organically first. And that's all organic traffic, and that's all based on keywords. That's all based and focused on continuous search engine optimization through blogging. And it's also some technical stuff that we do on the back end of each site.
Mm-hmm.
On the back end of Andrew's website, we have a plugin. There's a couple. One is called Yoast, and another one's called All-in-One SEO. And if you get the upgraded version, you can rank for certain keywords. So it's not just the content that Google's looking at on page. It's also the technical aspects of the verbiage behind each page. And that's where my son comes in, and that's where he makes sure that these local companies are ranking, because again, they wouldn't be paying us a monthly fee for search engine optimization if they weren't appearing at the top or near the top. So that's how Google works. It's roofing companies near me, and if you're within that 25-mile radius, boom, it's going to populate.
A lot of what you just said, John, gives me further substantiation that a lot of this is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's what the audience hears.
Thank you. So that is one example of a local company that other local companies see what we've done for them. They're also seeing the billboards. They're also seeing the ad campaigns. They're also seeing the website, and they like it. They're impressed with the marketing aspect.
Yeah. So you're a local hero. My buddy Mike Lazeski from Uncle Mike's, he's a local hero. He went to Manalapan High School as well. But you said a couple things just now that I want to focus on for a moment. So print media, print advertising, billboards, ATOP Roofing is an example of a company where I see billboards still all over the place. It's one of those things to me, especially on a local, type of discussion, where there's definitely not one right answer, right? You talk about diversifying your workload, diversifying your portfolio. It's cool to me that Andrew, the owner of ATOP, came in and was readily, open to the idea of accepting, hey, I need to have a little bit more of a digital presence. Let's talk a little bit more about that. But at the same time, he's still, paying to have his billboards up because he's got some good traction for it over the years. I feel like, when it gets into some of these ways of distribution and getting the message out there, a lot of businesses have that product focused lens on it where it's like, there's one magic formula to it. And to me, it's, you got to be doing the right balance of everything. And in a weird way, I feel like I've been seeing a little bit more print media in the last couple months than I had been in the last 3 to 5 years. Have you seen that?
Yeah, print media is still alive. It's not dead yet. Obviously the websites and the digital stuff has really come full center. Nobody wants to release their phone. Nobody wants to get rid of their phone. They're kind of, people are always saying about how future they're going to have a chip embedded in their brain. Well, we already have a chip attached to us, and it looks like this. It's called an iPhone or a Droid. What's great about going back to ATOP? What's great about ATOP is we sat down and spent quite a bit amount of time working on him to make sure that his Google reviews were voluminous in the quantity of them. And he has a program in place to make sure that every single touch point that he has with his consumers ultimately will end in a positive Google review, because that is what Google is looking at. They want to, if you Google Chinese restaurants near me, the one with the 54 rating, 54 reviews at a 4.9 is actually going to come up higher than
Right.
the one that only has 22 ratings at a 4.3. They really want to serve you up a good experience. So Andrew, to his credit, has spent a lot of time on other things like Google reviews that are outside our normal purview.
Well, and I applaud him as well for that because, I know plenty of contractors in the area, folks who are roofing contractors, a lot of them. It's like, they almost look like they're in the witness protection program. If you try to look them up out there, folks with like legit licensing and everything, it's like they don't go crazy on the marketing end. So again, bravo for the type of industry that he's working in to really kind of embrace this. To switch gears for a moment, really getting to know the client and know the people and have a relationship. Yeah, we know that's really important. Companies like ICG Next, folks that work in like financial services, as an example, I've spent lots and lots of time over the years with financial services professionals. I have some of that credentialing myself. And I know that things like Google reviews and things like that, they might have loosened some of the guidelines on how you can do it in social media. But, by and large, folks that have securities licenses, they need to have crazy oversight over social media marketing and advertising. So I know that's something you've undoubtedly tripped across. Tell us a little bit about how you navigate some of those challenges.
Yeah, there's a layer of compliance in working with the financial services industries, and we're pretty good at submitting and knowing what to submit and what we shouldn't submit just based on having the experience and dealing with it. I would say every time ICG buys another company, they're having us redo the marketing for that particular company. They bought a company in Virginia, one in Long Island, and we'll go in there and we'll revamp their websites. But also, compliance is something that we're proficient at getting through.
And I think that it's not only is that great to hear, John. It's like it's more of a partnership type of lens to me, that the way that you and John Jr. and your team, the way that you act and the way you function alongside of the businesses. See, a lot of the SMBs I've come across in the last, let's say 5 to 10 years, when they start to think about this topic, it comes from kind of that selfish mindset of nobody knows my platform, my process, my products, my services better than me. So I'm the one that has to tell the story. And they try to kind of do it on their own, or even if they enlist somebody like yourself, they still try to make it too much about the way they look at it, where you have somebody more impartial kind of coming in there and giving a little bit of a different spin on it. I feel like that's just so important to not just be like a product vendor. It's more of a partnership.
Well, I knew that the first time we interviewed the owners of ICG Next. These guys, these three financial geniuses, I had never heard anybody speak the way these guys speak. And one of the things—
Not even me?
Well, you do have your own— well, it's that microphone you got.
You're welcome.
And what we decided to do for ICG Next, which was unique and different than any other company we've ever done work for, was we interviewed them, all three of the owners.
Okay.
And what we did was we used their own words as the copy of the website.
Sure. Yeah.
So we retranslated it and put it into quick form and readability form, and then put all the SEO behind it. But we wanted them to tell their story, and it was a very unique opportunity for us. And it was a great project for us.
I love that. I'm a firm believer that when, in my travels, if I say something to a client in my words, it's a sales pitch. If they say it, if I can say it in their words, use their own language, it's going to be gospel.
And they're not going to tell me something that won't get through compliance.
Right.
So it was a perfect segue into us meeting compliance and having a conversation with them face to face. And then they know who we are. And now when they're giving us information and feedback, they'll say, you can't use this word, but replace it with either this word or this word. So they were actually helping us get through their own navigational compliance, which was a leg up for us, because we knew if we made friends with them, they would give us the keys to the castle eventually.
Love it. Nice blend of science and art. Nice blend of compliance with fun, which compliance and fun typically don't go in the same sentence. But if I'm not having fun, I'm not making money. And I feel like you're very much the same. We always have a good time, and the relationships that you form, there's definitely smiles on the faces after I see folks speaking with you. So love what you're doing. Love how you're doing it.
Thank you.
We got to take a quick break. It's one of my favorites, but the best pictures are yet to come, baby. The last part of the show is coming up now. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with John Rod, owner, founder, John Rod and Company, a full service digital marketing agency located in Freehold, New Jersey. Stay with us, everybody.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with John Rod, owner, founder of John Rod and Company, a full-service digital marketing agency located in Freehold, New Jersey. Some great wisdom, method, madness from Mr. Rod and his travels today. I hope you guys have been listening. There's lots to do out there on a daily basis as far as how you get your message out there and what people hear and how you convert it into sales and revenue. The good news is you don't have to do it on your own. A lot of times the SMBs I deal with, they feel like they have to. They feel like they're the only ones close enough to really know how to get the message out there. It's not how it is, for sure. So John, this is the message part of the show, the whole idea from Weekend Insight to Monday Impact. That's what we're about. We want to leave people with some sound bites over the weekend that will, be food for thought that they can remember while they're getting loaded and playing softball, hopefully, if it doesn't rain for 5 minutes. But when they come back to the desk on Monday morning, what can we tell them as far as, your world and what you do and how you do it that they should really stay conscious of, aside from the fact that they need to call you immediately to promote your business?
Right. Well, they just have to think about their audience and what their audience wants to see. What do you want people to do when they get to your website? What kind of impact, what kind of brand, what kind of messaging? It's all about trying to reach that audience and keep them engaged, give them a reason to come back. Educating your audience means you're blogging about your subject. If you go to our website, you'll learn all kinds of tips and tricks on search engine optimization and website design and the things to do and the things not to do. Some food for thought for this weekend is if you are a business owner or a sales and marketing director, the best thing that you can do for your company is to do some research. Google those services. And see what other companies are coming up first and what they're doing, and then try to reverse engineer some of that. because they're basically giving you the reasons why they're coming up. You can look on page, you can look off page. There's ways to do that. But if they're ranking very high and you want to rank very high, you need to do some of those things. And if you're not doing anything, you're going from page 6 to page 7 to page 8. If you're doing nothing, then you're getting further away from the top of Google.
You know, the sentiment of there's no such thing as bad publicity and doing something is better than nothing. Do you feel like that's the case with this world of digital marketing, or it's better to be in the witness protection program?
I think everybody should be doing something.
Right. I think so.
And I would say the biggest thing that we do for our clients that they appreciate is we give them a social media marketing calendar, which says on this date, we're going to post about this. And on this date, we're going to post about that. And on this date, we're going to post about that. This way, there's a consistency. Now, you can't oversaturate the market either, because then they turn the light switch off if you overdo it. So there's a fine line. We like to post once or twice a week for our clients. If you're doing 6 posts a day, nobody's
noise. Yeah. And something that's come up many times on the show is like, depending on which forum you're in, it's not like you can just take a piece of content you generated and copy and paste it in 5 different forums. It's like, the examples I always use revolve around Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. It's like the way that information gets communicated in those 3 social media platforms is totally different.
I would say the other thing that nobody takes into consideration is that every single product out there has a buying cycle. So if you're looking at shoes or sneakers, it may be a 3-week buying cycle. If you're looking at a house, it may be a 2-year buying cycle. And nobody is taking the time to find out where their traffic is in that buying cycle journey. And if you took the time and broke it down, are they the beginning of the journey, the middle of the journey, or towards the end, then your marketing could be very targeted to where they are. And that's kind of the secret sauce.
You know, going where the people are has been a good theme that's come up many times in the last couple of months with guests I've been interviewing. And, you know, you do it, a couple of different ways. It's like you go where the people are as far as the business owners and where they're at in their cycle, as far as if they're comfortable doing things like digital marketing, but you're also going to where the people are who engage the services and utilize them. So it's a really important piece. And it's, again, big thing message wise for me is you have to have the right partner. And that's why this is such a people first discussion to me. It's never about engaging some type of canned product platform on this side of the world where you put a dollar amount in and it generates a bunch of leads with absolutely no strategy for engagement coming from there. It's just crazy to me.
And it's also an education for our clients. A lot of times when you're having that first and second conversation with them, they just want to understand that you can help them, and you have to make it easy for them to understand. You can't lose them in the weeds and talk about too much of the back end stuff, too much of the technical stuff. And I think that's one of the advantages that that we have in dealing with our clients. It's one of the bonuses that they get with us. We're going to give it to them in easy, explainable, understandable language.
You guys got to start a conversation with John. To get in touch with him, you can go to johnrodandco.com, see all the content, put in your information. Email is john.rodandco.com. Phone number 732-462-2748. He's the man. John, once again, long time in the making. Can't thank you enough for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Steve. It was great to be here.
Before I let you go, you know what we got to do? We got to revisit the answers to the questions that I asked you. Who's your favorite movie or TV show character? What's your favorite movie or TV show? And what's your favorite musical instrument? And who's the artist you'd like to hear play it? So without further ado, you took no time to think about this. Your favorite movie character is Captain Quint from the movie Jaws. And it's like it's kind of like, I feel like you're an intimidating looking character, but once people get to know you, like you're a big teddy bear, and I have these pictures of Captain Quint in my head, and I'm like, all right, maybe he's a little scarier than John. I don't know.
Well, I guess it had the most profound impact on me. The guy was just so intimidating and so scary.
You also said George Costanza, which is a big popular answer that I've had from many guests on the show. So I couldn't help but poke a little more. It's like, what about George? Makes him one of your favorite characters. And you said the eating the sandwich in the bed. And I thought that was brilliant.
He's trying to mix all the pleasures, and he just...
I mean, look, you said it yourself. You're being your own business owner on something you love to do and everything. It's kind of like you haven't had a job in a very long time. This is combining some of the best things of what you like to do. I like having a sandwich in bed. It's totally cool. Not a surprise that Jaws is on your list of favorite movies. Not a shock. It's a big popular one out there. The other favorite movie you threw at me was Wolf of Wall Street, which, funny enough, one of my friends I was hanging with last night used to work at Stratton Oak Pine.
That is brilliant. I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I love all his movies, and he's just fun to watch. And that movie was just directed so great by Martin Scorsese. He's just fantastic.
Scorsese.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was beautiful. You also gave me, I love when there's multiple answers. Gives me all kinds of fun pictures to screw around with. But you also said the Princess Bride, which you'd make a fairly unique looking bride, I would say. But Andre the Giant, right up your alley, baby.
I would say the movie's taken on a double meaning for me now. I used to think it was a love story, but it's really not. It's a love story between a grandfather and his grandson, and being a new grandfather, it takes on a whole new meaning for me now. So I love it.
I love that kind of personal spin to it. Bravo, my man. And then last but not least, you said your favorite musical instrument was the drums played by John Bonham from none other than Led Zeppelin. And funny enough, right then you mentioned Fool in the Rain as it was pouring outside. And then when I went to Dave Matthews later that night when we were hanging out, they played Fool in the Rain.
It's funny, growing up in the 80s and driving around in my Z28 like everybody else from Manalapan, we were just addicted to Led Zeppelin. And it took me so long to dissect the music the way I dissect the websites and dissect Google to figure out why this music is so great. And it was the drumming. John Bonham's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And yeah, perfect way to round everything out this week. Great time with Dave Matthews Band at PNC Bank Arts Center. Special guest Warren Haynes came out. I was so excited to see that. Wow. And I also looked around at people near me who were a little younger going, who's Warren Haynes? And never felt older in my life, but that's okay. At least I know what good music sounds like. Anyway, John, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Great stuff. Hope everyone was listening. They need to give you a call on Monday if they're not working real tight on their digital marketing strategy.
Thanks, Steve. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're the man. Coming up next week on Always Friday, we're going to be interviewing Coach Julie Schulem, another friend of John Rod's and mine from some of our networking initiatives. She's got some great stuff for us. Until then, thank you for joining us on Always Friday. We hope you got some weekend insight to make a Monday impact. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on talkradio.nyc. Bye-bye, everybody.